Hi guys, VTech here, second part of the foundation build. This is May 6th to 8th video, basically finishing up the forms, leveling, and then installing rebar, plastic and rebar, and setting up the beams and stuff. This is part 2. The prior video basically showed us doing the forms and putting in the sandbags and road fill, etc. And here we're fixing a problem that I caused with the Bobcat. I spun the Bobcat around right against the sandbag wall, and guess what? It kind of caved in a little bit. So we're fixing that. That took us about an hour maybe, so my bad. Don't do that. Alright, so once we fixed the wall breach, went back to leveling, and here you see me doing going towards the driveway as well. And then a little bit you'll see me using a compactor, jumping jack, whatever they call those things. And I'm getting an idea of the Bobcat. This was doing the driveway work is pretty fun because you just basically put the Bobcat arms all the way down and just play with the bucket and make it all smooth. So it makes pretty quick work of it. The compactor definitely did the trick though. It made everything really nice and smooth. You'll see that in a little bit. Here I'm just still working on the form leveling. You see the sandbags at the front of the foundation on the right. We already set it up for the front beam, and then do a little bit of leveling, and we string it. This video is probably too quick to see us string it, but anyway, we level it out, and then we see how much we have to add where. Here Pop and I are doing we finished leveling the form. We're doing the cross beams, kind of an X in the middle of the foundation. Used the tractor, try to dig some of this. It turned out to be a pain because we put the rocks in there, of course, and you see a big rock behind Pop right there. We dug that out, and then the rest we basically do by hand. We went down approximately, it's going to be about a foot big beam. So we're doing it by hand. We've got the Bobcat there. We load up all the junk. You can see Pop's not really going straight, so he's going to fix that in a little bit. But anyway, we made an X out of it, and then we start filling it with rebar. So here's the last part of the middle trench for the beam. No big deal. It took I think we did this one in about a half an hour, but anyway, a little bit of work. Pop does great. You know, he's only 85, so a little bit of workout for him, but he's enjoying it. He's finally having a good time again on helping us out, and we appreciate that as well. So we rented a compactor from United Rentals. It ran kind of funny. Did the first part of the driveway, and then it loaded up real bad, and I couldn't make it run properly. And I kept kind of stalling and trying to make it run. Clean air filter once, blah blah blah. Put fuel in it, nothing. Anyway, ended up taking it back to United. They did a quick technical inspection on it, cleaned up the carburetor, put a new plug in it, and then it ran like a champ. So here I am. I'm just back with the compactor on the left, and once we got it running, this thing did the job really nice. It's amazing how good it compacted once it was running. It looks kind of funny me doing these swirls, huh? But anyway, it did the trick. once we finished compacting, we set out the plastic on the foundation, and then we're starting to put rebar down so the wind doesn't take everything. It was pretty windy this day. You can see the clouds moving pretty fast. We got a couple of drizzles on as well, but anyway, we managed everything else, laying it all out, and then we started doing the beams, rebar beams. We basically used 8 sticks across the deep ones, and it went to 6 on the sides and 4 on the front one. So hopefully that'll be enough. Yeah, not an engineer, but I think I can figure this out. Anyway, the cross beams are all 4-piece rebar, you know, in a square pattern. You might see that us doing that. But anyway, we're putting down the rebar that we had left over from the shop, and then the next day I actually went out and got some more. So the beams on the edge of the foundation, they're basically, I make a U out of a rebar, I bend it up, and then Zanji and myself were strapping the rebar pieces to those U channels in place. The one on the bottom side of the foundation, Pop and I kind of built it outside and we flopped it in there, and that didn't work all that great, so we had to finagle it a little bit and make sure all the rebar goes to the right spot. But anyway, we managed it. That was the hard part, and then once we start laying out the grid, it went really fast, and I believe this is 507, 508. We actually finished all the rebar work, all 3 of us working at it, and I did go buy another 150 bundle of rebar from Montopolis. That was a pretty good deal compared to prices around here. So I'm finishing up the beam, center beams, and here I am back with a new load of rebar from Montopolis, and we started offloading it and doing the crisscross pattern on the shop. I did 18-inch on center. We built 2 little wooden templates, cut little notches in them so we could all be on the same page, and we aligned the rebar as best we could. You know, it's not a piano, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but at least to give us a good spacing. So once again, I'm kind of the muscle. I'm moving all the rebar, and Angie and Pop are tying all the things together. We first did the surround, the edges, and then we filled in the grid with the rest of the stuff using our wooden templates. You can see Pop using the template right there, and myself as well. But anyway, pretty straightforward. Just work. So we broke the twisty tool that helps us do the tie strapping, which actually turned out to be a good thing. We went to using screwdrivers to do the tie straps, and that allowed us, all 3 of us, to do it instead of just one person with the tie strap machine, the little tool. So yay! And we finished in a matter of a few hours, so it went pretty good. The weather was kind of funky this day because it looked like it was going to rain. It sprinkled for just a few seconds and then quit, and then allowed us to do the whole thing, including the driveway. So now we're gonna, come Monday, we're gonna call Yarrington Materials Concrete, and hopefully get everything scheduled for Wednesday. So that'll be cool. So our dog Whiskey, you just saw him running around there. He's just trying to help, but he seems to like the plastic. I don't know if he's running around on it. Anyway, you see Angie and Pop just tying their hearts out. I'm starting on the driveway a little bit, trying to make the pieces crisscross on the driveway. Last piece I think on the beam there. Here's he Pop tying really quickly. So anyway, we appreciate his help. He's funny. Alright, so we're starting to lay out the driveway grid, and just so we don't cut the rebar straight across to make it square, we decided to go to like a diamond pattern. You'll see me laying rebar going up the driveway, and then next you'll see me crisscrossing it so we don't have to cut them down. We did them at a slight angle, which shouldn't be a problem, I guess, but anyway, it was an easy solution. Less cutting, less waste. So here I am laying those things out, and then Angie and Pop are going to tie them up, put rocks underneath them, and we're good to go. So here we are, we're doing the final steps of the driveway. In my calculation, where the wood ends is somewhere on there. We're going to run out of concrete. We're just getting 3 trucks. That should be enough for the beams and the foundation. And then the third one will be as far as I can get up the driveway here. Whatever we don't make, I'm just going to cut it out. So hopefully my calculations and Jose's calculations were right. But somewhere on there should be the end of the driveway. We're not going to tie the last few rebars there. We're just going to leave them loose in case I have to pull them out. The crisscross ones anyway. And then the ones which might be exposed, I'll cut them. And we're still undecided whether we're going to do concrete for the rest of the driveway, kind of where the RV is, or go to that, what's called a dry. It's recycled asphalt. It's laid down dry. It's just basically rolled over with a steamroller kind of thing. So, or compactor, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, here you see Angie and Pop and myself just going at it. We laid out, we still have probably 75, maybe 80 rebars, and those are going to be used in the pillars for the container supports. So a few final steps. Once we put all the rebar down and everything else, there were a couple of low spots that were very visible, of course, with the plastic. So I decided to put a couple scoops of road fill on it. You can see how windy it is. It was really windy this day. I'm sure the gusts were 30, maybe 35 mile an hour. Anyway, I used a couple of buckets here. I'll level it all out, and that should do it. We're approximately 6 inches of concrete. So last load here, I dump it, and then I'm going to spread it out by hand, of course. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This is the foundation process, and we'll hopefully show the concrete pour next. So video 3 of the foundation, and we'll be done, and then we'll move on to actually doing the supports for the containers. That's going to be exciting. Anyway, thanks again. See you later. Bye.